Okay, it's time. It is time to start a new series on this channel. I don't do series on this channel, but I'm gonna make one. This is the first episode of a new series on this channel that I will affectionately title Learning How to Actually Rebind a Book. If you followed me for a while, first of all, peace be with you. But if you followed me for a while, you know that I attempted weeks ago at this point to fix a book, rehabilitate a book, bring it back from the dead. This is already sucking. That's barely even in there. This is a big fire hazard. Ah, no! What the hell? No, I got glue all over my fucking book. No way. It's not even touching, bro. It's not even touching. Oh my god, it's getting glue everywhere, dude. Everywhere. How do you even work this thing? No, it's not even making contact. Didn't go well. Didn't go well at all. Frankly, it was a disaster, and this is the scene of the crime. The Rest is Noise by Alex Ross with this clump of pages that just falls right out, and the sticky notes are still there. Somebody said they screamed out loud when they saw me do that, which I can understand why. It was hard to watch. Let me add a sticky note to it so that it doesn't spread. This is my brilliant idea. I'm full of brilliant ideas, by the way. But I needed to upload my shame because, frankly, it was a shameful showing. It was a shameful showing of maybe hubris. It was me attempting to do something that I had seen nobody else do because it turned out nobody else was stupid enough to do it. Who would have thought to try using a hairdryer to repair a book? I don't know why I thought that was going to work. I tried it and it didn't work. And so now I'm here to sit and learn. I'm not here to speak. I'm not here to fill the void up with the sound of my own voice. I'm just here to learn from other people, from people who know how to actually rebind books. Now, my incentives for rebinding a book are a little bit different from the ones that I see online. A lot of people and a lot of the content that I see on the internet about rebinding books are usually related to aesthetics. People like a certain aesthetic, and so they want to, buy a cheap paperback version of a specific book, rip the cover off, and then make it into something beautiful. And that's awesome, but those people have what I like to call talent, which is something that I don't have. So I don't have much self-confidence when it comes to being able to make books look beautiful. However, for the purposes of conservation, if there is a way that I can take a book like this and rebind it so that it is readable again and I don't have to throw it out, or I don't have to just let it sit in shame on my shelf in an unreadable state, I would love that. In fact, I would love that so much that I would be eternally grateful for that ability. Here's this book, The March of Folly. It's exactly like this one. It is falling apart. This is Barbara Tuchman's great book on folly, and it is falling apart. It is just, and this is straight from the bookstore, just falling apart. It's a first edition from the 80s, I think. And it's the exact edition that I want, but it's unreadable. It's going to collapse at any moment. If I could take this book and rescue it, I would love that so much. And in the case of both of these, they already have dust jackets. Particularly this one, I wouldn't even want to change this one, even if I did have the talent to do so. I would just love to be able to take this dust jacket off, remove this hardcover, take the text block out, fix the spine, put a new hardcover on, and then throw the old dust jacket on. If that's at all possible, I'd love to be able to do that. Now, I've never seen anybody on the internet do that. Most of the people that I have seen rebind books only do paperbacks, and they only do paperbacks that are in readable condition. So can I do it? Can I do this on hardcover, and can I do this on hardcovers that are falling apart? Those are two questions that I have, but those are two questions for future Christopher to worry about. Current Christopher, the Christopher that you see in front of you right now, is just focused on following directions. So I'm going to stick with soft covers, and I'm going to stick with soft covers that are in readable perfect condition. That is going to be where I take my first tentative steps forward into the art of rebinding books. I've got a couple of books in front of me. These are books that I would rebind if I had the skills, just based on aesthetic reasons. I've talked before on this channel about Edmund Goss's Father and Son. I love this book. I think it's great. But this cover is awful. It's boring, and it doesn't have the subtitle on it, which bothers me a lot. Here is the iconic cover of Susan Sontag's Against Interpretation, which has that wonderful photo of her on it. This is the version of it that I read. And I'd love to be able to theoretically take the cover off of this and then get an upscaled version of this and put it on there. I don't know if that's possible, but that would be really, really cool. And I, for one, have always loved The Scarlet Letter. Always. It is truly, truly one of my favorite books. But I've always been extremely underwhelmed with the physical copies of it that I've seen in my life. I don't really care that much because I think the book is so good that it doesn't really matter. But if I could make my own personal version of it that speaks to the design choices that I would want to make on it, that would be awesome. But outside of all of the books that I just mentioned, the one that I'm actually going to try to do a rebind on is this copy of 1984 by George Orwell. I really enjoy 1984. I think it's a great novel, but it doesn't have an iconic cover, which I think is fascinating because so many of the books that we read or that we read in high school had iconic covers. Catcher in the Rye obviously has an iconic cover. A Brave New World, which this is often associated with, has a pretty iconic cover, and that's not even the first edition cover. That's just the cover that like every student who reads this book has. I think the same thing goes for the Bell Jar. I'm not sure off the top of my head what the first edition of that looked like, if it did have that photo on it, but that photo, that blue saturated photo with the sort of pink strip at the top, if you were reading that from across a football field, I'd be able to know what you were what you were reading. 1984 doesn't really have that. 1984 has this cover. I've seen this cover a lot. I've pulled up a couple of covers here. Let's see, 1984. There we go. Orwell. Yeah, I mean, this is an identifiable cover for sure. This one's also pretty identifiable. I believe that this is in reference to the first edition. Let me see. First edition. No, God, look at that. Oof. Is that really the first edition? No way. Yeah, you can see why that wouldn't catch on. We've got that. Okay. And then we've got the red here. I mean, it's fine. It's not great, though. You know what is great? The Penguin mass market of this one is fantastic. Let me pull that up. 1984 Penguin. Oh, let me just see if that's enough to... Yes, right there. Look at that. So this is... They had the genius idea over at Penguin to black out the title and the author on their, classic orange paperback design, which I think was a stroke of brilliance, and I'd love to be able to do that, especially because I'm actually building this thing from scratch, theoretically, and making my own version of it. I could, theoretically, whatever I designed or however I did it, I could put a piece of actual tape over the cover and actually censor the cover if that's what I wanted to do. So I wanted to do something inspired by this cover, something that involves censoring the title, something that involves doing something with blacking it out and potentially like putting an actual piece of like black masking tape over the title or something like that. I think that would be really cool. The other really cool thing that I wanted to do is with the spine. So in the book, if you've read it, there's like a book in a book, and Winston reads this book called The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism by Emmanuel Goldstein, which is like a deliberately overly academic title. But I thought it would be so cool if on the spine, instead of saying 1984 by George Orwell, it would say in like a very understated and, kind of boring way, The Theory and Practice of Oligarchical Collectivism by Emmanuel Goldstein, making it look like it was an academic monograph, using some of the academic monographs that I have around here as kind of inspiration for designing a spine that wouldn't stand out as 1984, but if you know, you know. And I don't know. I think that would be really cool. So anyway, this is my template. This is what I'm going to be working with. I have no sentimental attachment to this volume, so if it gets destroyed, that would suck, and I wouldn't like that, and I would feel like even more of a failure than I am now. But I wouldn't feel like I had lost a priceless artifact of my reading life. 1984 is a book that's easy to come across in used bookstores, and I do love it, but I have no sentimental attachment to this edition. And there is somebody on YouTube whose tutorial I will be following. I found this person, Sydney. She's got this channel, Spellbound with Sydney. And I believe she has a TikTok, and I believe that most of her stuff comes from TikTok, but she's uploaded a bunch of things to her YouTube channel. And I originally saw some of her shorts about rebinding books, and so that's where I was like, okay, I found my person who's going to show me, who's going to be my Virgil and guide me through what hopefully won't be a hellish experience of rebinding a book. She's got three tutorials here, a part 1, part 2, and part 3, and they're short. I mean, the first one's like 4 minutes long, the second and third ones are like 6 minutes long. So not a lot of material to comb through, which I'm glad. Okay, sorry about that weird edit there. I was just wrapping up and then the camera died on me. So didn't lose anything vital. All I was going to say at the end of that previous clip was that I was going to watch the tutorials that Sydney put out, and then I was going to make a list of everything that she mentioned, and then I was going to go and get as much as I could from like a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's near me. Now, it is the next day, and I have done that. I've watched the tutorial. I made a list of things that she recommended, and then I went out and bought some of that stuff. I will say, based on the tutorial that I watched and based on what I saw in the stores around me, a lot of this stuff is very particular to bookbinding. So, for example, she talks about getting book cloth or something called mole cloth or something called headbands, which I actually have a hardcover right here. Headbands are that little thing that is in between the spine and the text block, and all that stuff. I didn't think I was going to find in like my local Hobby Lobby, and in fact I didn't. Some of it might have been there, but most of the stuff that I got here is stuff that you would expect a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's to have. But the very specific bookmaking materials, I am going to have to order online. I don't know if you'll be in the same position as me, but I went to a couple big box stores and didn't see anything. So, I'm going to go through just the things that I have in front of me, and then after this, I'm going to go and pick up the slack of the other things that I need to get in order to make this project happen. One of the things that she mentioned was a paper cutter, an actual, razor on a track. It looked like that was going to be a very helpful thing to have, so I got that. In addition to that, I have a cutting mat here, which she also recommended and said that I should get. I guess they're both in a baby blue color. I didn't even notice that. It's like I coordinated that. Then she said just get a couple of sheets of cardstock. So I have like a couple of pieces of cardstock. It feels like 60 or 80 pounds. I'm not exactly sure. Hopefully that's enough. And then she says get 12 by 12 pieces of cardstock for the decorative end pages of your book. Now, I'm going for something very, very, very minimalistic. I'm not going for something very maximalist or very, flowery or anything like that. So I just went for some brutal gray color because it'll go with anything, whatever color I decide to go for the cover and whatnot. And I think it'll be nice, and it's a nice gray color to go with the sort of the tone of the book, I feel like, overall. Did she recommended getting some sort of X-Acto knife or box cutter or whatever? I got this. I feel like it's maybe a little bit of a cross between the two, because what you need to do is you need to have something industrial enough to cut through this. This is chipboard, apparently. It is basically a sheet of cardboard that... always satisfying when something makes that noise. This is going to be the sort of forming the structural integrity of the actual hardcover itself. Now, I believe she said that the chipboard should be at least 2 millimeters thick, and I have no idea if this is actually going to be thick enough or not. I was feeling it around, and I was like, it seems pretty thick to me, but I don't know if you can see that. I mean, obviously, yeah, that's going to be impossible for you to tell, but it doesn't seem like it's thick enough, but it also seems like it's going to work. I don't know. It was the thickest that they had in the Hobby Lobby I was at, so that's what I got. And then the last thing, this is really cool. She mentioned getting a silicone brush, which is what this is, and I didn't realize that a silicone brush meant a brush that didn't have any bristles on it. It was just like one big block of silicone at the end, which is really fun and cool. So anyway, I've got that, and hopefully that'll be exactly what the doctor ordered for spreading the glue around. And that's basically it. Like I said, there's a bunch of other things that I need to get before I can officially start, so I'm going to put those on order hopefully tonight. The mole cloth, the PVA glue, the headbands, and the book cloth, and various things like that. I will also say that there are 3 parts to the tutorial that I watched. The first 2 were very relevant to me. The last one wasn't, because it was all about pressing a design straight onto the cover of the book, and I don't think I'm going to be doing that because I just don't think I have the materials available to me to be able to pull that off. All I want to do right now is rip the cover off of the original copy of 1984, put a hardcover on it, and then hopefully at some point in this process, design a dust jacket that I can wrap around it. I don't know what that would look like. I don't know what that process is going to be like, but you're going on this journey with me, so we'll figure it out together, I guess. And if you have any suggestions on how to do that, please let me know, because I don't know what kind of paper to use. I was planning on using Procreate if I was going to design it in some software, but then we come into the issue of printing it. Or do I go to like a FedEx or something like that to print it? I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it, especially because the main thing that I want to be able to do is develop the skill of being able to rebind a book, because if I have that skill, then I can save books like Barbara Tuchman's The March of Folly, which is falling apart, but which also has a perfectly usable and really well-designed dust jacket on it already, so I don't need to go ahead and make one on my own. If you're interested at all in this project, consider subscribing, because I will be uploading more segments to it. This is something that I would be doing on my own, whether I was filming it or not, because again, it's something that I think is fun, but it's also useful, and so it's something I've been curious about for a really long time. So I thought maybe putting it on camera and putting it on the internet would be, at the very least, entertaining to some people. I don't know, but I'll leave it there, and I will see you hopefully soon when I get the rest of the stuff that I need in the mail, and then I can continue with the project of making this rebind happen.